시작. 시작. 자, 나 잠깐 소원 빌게. 좋았어. 늦네. 오케이. 이렇게 볼게. 고마워.
All right, welcome back to another week. Where we are covering Johnny, Somali, Vitaly, and an extra thing. So we're now gonna do this one first. So let's get into it. Anyone watching on the aftermath on YouTube on the afterwatch or after this is live, if you like content like my music reactions, like the K-pop covering MADEIN and Johnny's Small and after stuff, consider like, maybe comment your thoughts at anything regarding the stream at any point in the stream, and subscribe if you like it, like the stream, yada yada. Anyway. Let's get into it.
All right, so let's get to Vitaly. So first, let's cover some notes. There was a Filipino lawyer who wrote back some answers. You guys asked some questions in the chat, and he had some answers for you guys because many of you asked questions. So as a Filipino lawyer, he wanted to help me answer these. So I'm going to answer some questions that you guys had in PowerPoint format, of course, in classic Legal Mindset PowerPoint format. Okay, first of all, he wanted me to say, because many of you ask about caning. Unfortunately, guys, there is no caning in the Philippines. But according to a Filipino lawyer, he said that he would rather be caned than go to a Filipino prison. He literally said, I would rather be caned than go to a Filipino prison. So that kind of tells you, and I'm going to show you the Filipino prisons. And if after what I showed you today, you would not prefer the caning, but I think the Filipino prison is pretty rough. We're going to talk about that. Also, review bombing. So apparently the big thing for the crime and convicting people for review bombing is it really matters if there were fake reviews posted. So if anybody actually posted a fake review as a result of Vitaly prompting them, then that would be a crime in the Philippines. So it really would turn on other reviews that were posted that were fake. Now, this is an interesting one because both Atozi and I want to attend the trials and the hearings. So apparently, if we go to the trial, we may need special permission. I am trying to get into contact with people that could get me permission to go to the trial. So I am going to try to get permission to go. I think but based on what my conversation with the lawyer, he said you might need a special permit, and I will try to go. The other thing is, and this is the next bullet point, is that according to recent Philippine law, I have to be very, very, very neutral when I cover the trial. And that's because of law regarding impartiality of the court. So I have to be extremely neutral. So if I cover the proceedings, I have to just pretty much say, this is what happened. And I essentially will not be able to comment on what happened inside the court. I may be able to comment on what happened outside the court, But in terms of what happened inside the court, I will have to be super neutral, right? So I will not be able to give an opinion on like, oh, he did this and looked stupid or whatever. I will be like, he did this, he did this, he did this. That's what happened, right? So that's apparently the case law, right? So I would have to be kind of careful on that one. Also, one of you mentioned, or somebody in the chat mentioned, that the cameraman who is Sly Kane, Christopher P. Dantes, Sly Kane, somebody said he can be tried for treason under Article 114. The lawyer corrected that treason is a war crime, so he cannot be convicted of treason. It's not war crime. Now it can be
Yeah, I'm pretty sure treason only applies to war, so that makes sense.
an accessory, but he can't be treated for treason. So he can be an accessory to Vitaly's crimes. So for all of Vitaly's crimes that he was there for, he can be an accessory. For example, harassment, threatening to rob the woman, harassing the security guards. He can be an accessory to those crimes, but treason is a no-go. That's not going to happen under Article 114. The last thing that he mentioned is in the Philippines, with the penal code, we talked about the special penal code, the SPC, and the revised penal code, the RPC, the different kind of penal approaches. And what he said is there's not two codes. There's really only like a giant mix of codes, and the law loosely applies them from different areas. So essentially, the law can like pick and choose which code to use. So it's not like you choose, we're going to only choose the RPC and not the SPC. They can choose both. So, or they can choose all. So the answer can be all of the above. And actually, in that way, because the legal code is kind of mixed, they can choose the harshest laws to use for Vitaly, which I think is a good thing. I think having a mixed law system actually is better. So I'm actually happy from a legal sense, like a prosecutorial sense. I'm actually happy that their code is mixed. They don't have to pick mode A or mode B. They can just use whatever law they want to prosecute them, which actually is great. I actually love that.
Popeyes has gone full pickle. You got your...
Alright, that's that video, which every video I have will be in the description at the end. So let's go back onto World of T-shirts, which I covered, which we haven't heard from him in a while. So people go react to this, which I made a video on this months ago. So
our appetizer. So let's start with our appetizer. Our appetizer is World of T-shirts. So what I want to show you is this little article. It's about Joshua Block, World of T-shirts. We covered him in Japan. He obviously caused an incident in Japan, pushing people, hitting people, freaking out after somebody told him to put the fries in the bag. He absolutely had a meltdown, and he had to flee Japan. Well, now there's news that he was deported from Dubai, which means immigration did not let him in and they just booted him out. And it was supposedly because of his criminal record or perhaps for some other reason. So reading down here, he had several posts while he was in the United Arab Emirates, which is Dubai, right? The country in which Dubai is in. And he posted several screenshots of several things on his Instagram. He says, I was deported from Dubai by immigration because of an arrest in 2024 for the subway incident. I don't know how long they will hold me at the airport before I can come home. But I got into Canada 3 times. I don't know how this is a problem. And this is kind of funny. What I think is hilarious about this is he thinks that he can relate Canada and Canada's like immigration policy with Dubai. And to be honest, different countries have different immigration policies. And I'm not one to comment. I'm an American lawyer, not a Canadian lawyer. But clearly the implication here is it's very easy to get into Canada, even if you have a criminal record or you are a problematic figure. That's what the implication here is. But just because you can get into Canada doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get in elsewhere, right? Just because you can get in the United States doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get in elsewhere. Just because you're from a first world country doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get in. You are not entitled to enter any country. Your passport does not guarantee you entry into a country. the country has full sovereign power to reject you for whatever reason. So the tweet here was that Josh Block was deported from Dubai upon arrival. So he never even got in the country. He then wrote later on, I got deported from the UAE at immigrations. They said they have no reason why they will put me in the next flight back to JFK. Update. It's not due to a past arrest for my deportation to the UAE. It's unclear why I can't enter Dubai and when I can fly home. Well, I'm not sure. This is very interesting. And of course, there's him flying home to the US after he got, deported from Dubai. It's not clear why, and I think there's two plausible reasons. The first plausible reason is, like he said, because of his arrest, because of his criminal record. That's reason number one. And I think that's the easiest explanation for most people who have a criminal record, is they've looked at your criminal.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. They look at your criminal record. They see, oh, he got arrested. Let's not let him in.
Record, and they say, hey, we don't want a criminal here. And many countries are strict, while some countries don't care, right? So most European countries, I'm just going to throw this out there, if you go to the Netherlands and they see you had a possession of marijuana charge in United States or Canada, they're probably not going to care as much as if you were trying to go to, I don't know, let's say a Middle Eastern country, and you were convicted in a different Middle Eastern country of, let's say, blasphemy, right? Or some sort of other related law, right? They might say, well, we're not going to let you in because, we also enforce these sort of laws, right? Or there's some sort of related law. Or for example, even worse, if you're convicted of murderer, right? You're a murderer, or you've been convicted of attempted murder, or you're a drug smuggler, right? These are strong crimes will be enforced by most nations, right? Around the world. So there are, of course, places where it's easier, but they can also just look at your record and say no. They can look at your record and look at whatever you have, even if it's something small, even if it's something like a DUI.
I mean, they could also say no just because they don't need a reason to say do not let you in. They can just say we don't want you in, but I mean, that'd be a bit weird, but they have that right to. That is their country, their right to reject you however they please.
Countries that will refuse you for a DUI. And it seems like in some places that's relatively minor offense, but in others that's a very serious offense, which is deniable. So it could have been his criminal record. That's one. But what might be number two, and which would be more intriguing, because I've been talking about this, is if they are starting to log nuisance streamers. And perhaps they don't call it nuisance streamers. Perhaps they call it problematic figures, right? And perhaps there's a log of such figures. And perhaps they're saying, hey, we're not going to let these people in. We're not going to let these people in because they can cause an issue. Mind you, there was another woman in Dubai who actually caused an issue. The woman who refused to leave Dubai. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Until the Dubai government paid her. I don't know if you guys heard about that one. Who was that woman?
Sounds familiar.
Onijah Robinson. She went to Pakistan to marry some young kid who was much, much younger than her. And then after that didn't work
Typical Middle Eastern thing.
out, she went over to Dubai and she refused to leave. Yeah, here she is, Onijah Robinson, right? I don't know if you heard about this. No, she first went to Pakistan. So she first went to Pakistan, and then Pakistan kicked her out, right? Eventually. And then she went to Dubai and she refused to leave Dubai. So maybe they've thought, hey, look, these figures, these problematic figures, we don't want them in our country anymore. And we need to start looking at people that are on social media causing an issue. We need to start making a list and refusing them, because Dubai, with their sovereign power of immigration, can refuse any non-citizen. They can refuse anybody. So they'll be fully within their right to say, hey, we saw Josh Block in Japan. We saw what he did there. We saw he was problematic. We don't want to let him in. Simple as that. They don't need any more justification. They don't need to prove it to anybody. They don't need to go before the court. They don't need to do anything. They don't need to justify it. They say, nope, not welcome in the United Arab Emirates. Be gone with you. Go back home. Right? The only place where you are guaranteed to live is a place where you have citizenship. That's it. That's all.
Wix. One platform, any website.
I mean, they don't even have to give a reason, really. They can just say, you're not welcome, leave. All right, here's more insanity from Johnny.
All right, so let's continue. So I want to point out here that a lot of foreign media, this is one little point before we get to the video. A lot of foreign media is bringing attention to the most heinous of Johnny's charges. For example, the child harassment charges. And by the way, it's not just child harassment, it is child S harassment. I'll just say S because I don't want to get in trouble. But it is not a minor crime. It is a serious crime that has up to 10 years in prison. So very, very serious. I'm happy that other media outlets are picking that up. It's quite good. And I'm very happy to see the news is getting out about RKI. Now, here is RKI and some new footage of him talking about what he is going to do at the next court hearing. Listen in to this video here.
What do you think about the KKK outfit at the court? Is that too crazy? The
Yeah,
one, the same one kind of had.
bro. I know it's a wonderful idea, but you won't even have a platform. You'll just get automatic banned.
No, so now I'm gonna get my Instagram deleted again. You're saying
It's a wonderful idea. I'm not gonna lie. But you can't do that and have a platform.
I really want to do the KKK, but
I know
it's
it's a good idea, but why isn't there anybody else doing the stunt? Because
you're right. There's no one else. No one else in the world is doing that. You're right. I haven't seen anybody but Tanya do that. So what could I do at the court? I'm gonna have reporters talking to me at the court, like in 2 days. Like the Korean news is coming. The last time I flipped them off and I said I love North Korea.
Oh my God!
I swear to God, I did.
He did do that. In his defense, he did do that.
That did happen. That is true. So at least he's honest.
So talking about wearing a KKK outfit to the court, right, which includes a hood and all that good stuff, trying to be, I guess he said he's trying to be Kanye.
I mean, does he have the money to get that stuff? Or can you even find that in Korea?
Once again, that would be contempt of court, pretty sure. Pretty solid contempt of court there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Wow. And all of this because he wants to draw attention to himself. All of this because he wants to get clout. He wants to get negative attention. And he's going to do this to himself, right? Whether or not he actually does it, I don't think he would have it, right? But that said, maybe Hank will knit it for him. Hank may or may not know how to knit a KKK outfit. Just saying. But that said, he might or might not have minored in national or ultra nationalistic tailoring. But that said, it's just insane. It's just unhinged and it's unapologetic. It shows he has no respect for the court. He continues to want to commit contempt of court. And in Korea, contempt of court can be committed inside the courtroom, outside the courtroom, or on public broadcast. This is a public broadcast. So he is once again attempting to say, hey, I'm going to do something to make a mockery of the court. I'm going to do something to create a spectacle, right? That could be contempt of court. It's nuts. I can't make this stuff up, guys. It's crazy. All right, let's watch this one. Now, this one is really bad, guys. This is 2 minutes. Warning, there are racial slurs in here. There's a lot of bad language. This was him when he was in the station. And there's some comments here that I want you guys to pay attention to because they are very, very bad. So let's roll the tape here.
I've been to this police station 20 times. It's the first time they can put me in cuffs. I've been to this police station 20 different times.
But like, they put you. Where do they think you're gonna go? You're like, why are you in cuffs? It doesn't make any sense.
Why? I love how stupid his callers are in Community. Like, as if police don't put people who are arrested in cuffs. They always will put you in cuffs if you're arrested. Obviously, right? I mean, that's an almost always happening thing. Perhaps if you voluntarily walked into the station and you turned yourself in and it's for a non-violent, non-serious crime, maybe they're going to go without the cuffs. But generally, when you're under arrest, particularly for dancing crazy, particularly when he resisted arrest, because he kept saying, arrest me, arrest me, arrest me. He forced them to put cuffs on them. So like, he's trying to act like he doesn't know why there's cuffs. That's like negative IQ, right? And of course, he does look high because he was high. He was taking pills and he was drinking that night.
I don't know. I don't care. However. Oh man.
I'm dead, bro.
My fucking physical passport. And brings the passport. I'm literally running out of here butt naked and taking a piss. I'm taking a in their bathroom with no. And I'm not flushing. They brought some females in Texas. They're lucky I don't these.
Did you guys catch that? Did you guys catch that? Did you guys catch that? Did you hear that? Let me rewind that. Did you hear that part?
I'm taking a in their bathroom with no. And I'm not flushing. They brought some females in Texas. They're lucky I don't these.
How do you think the police are going to feel about threatening SA on police officers? First of all the police officers could break him in half, right? Even a smallest female detective could break him in half. But once again, do you think the prosecutor is going to cooperate with you and the police are going to cooperate with you when you're sitting here threatening to SA police officers? Right?
That's going to go down well. Yeah. Try it and see what happens.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to go down well with the police and prosecutor. Not at all.
I don't give a
Wherever the road takes.
Lovely person.
And then continues once again, like I said, unapologized Somali. I don't give a I don't give a fuck.
I'm pissed off. The stupid shit is that they know my situation, but they're retarded. They literally told me, yeah, we know what's going on. So dumb.
See, and what he thinks is that they know the situation and they should just let him go. But what they actually are saying to him and what he doesn't understand is they know that you're a dumb nuisance streamer who's going to continue to commit crimes, and they're going to log it every single time to document your criminal spree. So the judge, the prosecutor, the police, they all know that you are a repeat offender, that you're a problem, that you're causing these nuisance issues. And so everybody will be informed of this. The court will be informed, the prosecutor will be informed. That's what they're doing, right? And he doesn't understand that's what's going on here, right? Yeah, you're not going to like get, this, you're not going to get individually like this just this night he wasn't going to be thrown in the jail, but they are going to log that and use that in the sentencing. And that's the thing. And when they play those comments, like that's what's going to come out to really burn it.
What do you expect from a group of
Did you hear that? Did you hear that racial slur there, guys? Did you hear that racial slur? These are his followers, right? And look what he says to that.
You know what I'm saying?
And they can't go jogging without a passport is ridiculous. Yeah.
Once again, that's the community, and I'll stop it there because there's more like racial slurs and dumb stuff in
Classy.
there, but not anything of substance. But that's the sort of stuff that Johnny Somali has been, over the last weeks kind of getting into, and it's just unapologetic. It's just unapologetically horrible. There's nothing good about this dude, right? And there's been nothing good. I've seen no attempt over the past week and 2 weeks for any sort of apology, any sort of sincere reflection. None. In fact, it's been doubling, tripling down. That's it.
Get Sports Fan TV and save over 3,000.
Okay, now we have this big one.
Hey everyone, it's Legal Mindset here. Andrew Esquire, American attorney over here in Asia with a premiere. This is a update coming to you during the middle of the day, when a time when most people are sleeping in the US and out there doing stuff in Asia. But I wanted to bring it to you because we have news that Vitaly, while Vitaly himself is in jail, his criminal henchman, his local thug, is on the run. We're going to talk today about Vitaly's crimes and how his criminal accomplice can be culpable for those crimes. In fact, some of those crimes he specifically violated himself through his actions. So, as you may or may not know, Vitaly was locked up after a criminal spree, both in Boracay and across Manila, culminating in a series of crimes across Bonifacio Global City, BGC, as it's called, and I'll shorthand it here, a place where I used to live for a couple months. That was resulting in him being locked up, being detained. He is awaiting prosecution. They are not going to deport Vitaly. He is going to stay within a Filipino jail until he gets his trial, which could be 2 to 3 years, and then his sentence, which is expected to be somewhere between 5 years to maybe 10 years. So we're looking at could be 20, but most people have predicted somewhere between 5 and 10 is reasonable amount of time that he might catch from those charges. Now, that said, while Vitaly is behind bars, and we are all happy about that here on this channel. In fact, if you like Vitaly being behind bars, smash that like button. But his criminal accomplices, his local people that helped him, are the reason why he was able to do what he did. Without those people enabling him and showing him where to go, telling him the places to go, directing him, and most importantly, holding the camera, many of these crimes wouldn't be committed. In fact, some of these crimes, such as videotaping people without permission or videotaping in a certain area that he wasn't allowed to videotape in, those things were directly culpable on the cameraman, on the person who was holding that camera, who is a local by the name of Christopher P. Dantes, aka Sly Kane, as he goes by online, and he is still on Kick. Now, Vitaly has been, I believe, clicked off that platform by now, but this guy, Sly Kane, is still streaming on that platform. But let's give you a reminder as to his culpability as to this whole incident. So I'm going to play a clip. This is from Grandpa Tozi's coverage of this, and you're going to just see exactly how involved
Grandpa
this cameraman is, Sly Kane, Christopher P. Dantes.
Arc is back. Demon time. Saan po Shangri-La, kuya? Shangri-La? So, bro, I know where we are. Okay. Don't you want to scare me? Oh, damn, this is cardio today, chat.
There he is. That's Christopher B. Dantes, Sly Kane, right there in form. Once again, he's the one holding the camera when Vitaly says demon time. When it's demon time, Sly Kane is there to help out Vitaly. Let's continue this and watch what he says about knowingly. Watch what he knows he did wrong.
Ain't that some film it. All right. Boss, let me see. Oh my God, so many laws have been broken today.
Dude, so many laws have been broken today.
He fully knows what he did was wrong.
There was so many laws have been broken today. And Tozi cut off at the same time I was going to cut off. But he knew. And when you have that, what we call mens rea, the state of mind where you know that you broke laws and you did it willingly. And you even saw that interaction. Vitaly said, film it. And he bent the knee and said, yes, sir, I'm going to film this for you. Right? He did it for him, knowing he was breaking the law. He knew intentionally what he was doing. We knew that the laws were broken. In fact, he knew that many laws were broken, not just one. And he did it anyways. He never stopped. He never turned the camera off. He never told Vitaly to chill. He never said, hey, wait a minute, we shouldn't do this. He never stopped him when he threatened to rob a woman. He never stopped him when he threatened to try to take a guard's gun, when he tried to take the motorbike, when he took the fan. None of this other stuff did he ever stop Vitaly. He just let him do whatever he was going to do and held the camera for him. And he knew better. And he could have at any point cut the stream. He could have terminated the video. He could have turned it off. He could have done whatever, right? And
he could have done something to stop it, but he didn't. Because it's entertainment. But there's entertainment that you should know it's wrong, and that was wrong.
That would have been something he could have done, but he decided not to do that. Now, the president and as well as several other people in the government have made announcements that they are indeed looking for the accomplice of Vitaly, which is Christopher P. Dantes.
I mean, he is accomplice to a crime, so he should also share the punishment.
So he, after this went down, went on the run. Now you can also see, I'm going to pull up here. This is another photo of him so you guys can get a good, nice picture of him here. Obviously, I know we have a lot of viewers over in the Philippines. By the way, big shout out to all my Pinoy brothers and sisters. You guys have been great on this, helping me with translations whenever there is stuff in Tagalog. You guys are great to send me the translations, and thank you so much for that. I know there'll be some stuff I'm going to ask you for help on in the future. So thank you. Over there in the Philippines. But if you guys see him, obviously you know what to do. You know it's time to report him to police. You know it's time to call up and say, hey, we know where this guy is. Come pick him up. Come find him because he is on the run. And how do we know he's on the run? Well, actually, his own streaming has given him away. One thing, and you're going to see this even in the comments of his chat here, is streamers tell on themselves. And because IRL streamers have to stream IRL, they have to stream in real life, they are ultimately condemned to eventually be caught because somebody that is watching them, including law enforcement, is going to look at their streams, is going to look at what they're doing and be able to tell where they are. The power of the internet is with even a little bit of information, even with a tiny bit of information, people will be able to find where you are. People can do geoguessing pretty accurately just based on limited information. But in this case, he gave away a ton of information about where he was recently, hiding out outside of Manila. Now, I'm going to show the video where he really gives it away. This is his vacation video. So he's out here. He filmed this just on April 13th, right? And you're going to see, you even see in the chat, I'm going to read some of these chats, which are actually funny. Somebody asked why he left Manila. And then he says, too much heat, probably. And then Kripke says, someone told me you're on the lam. Yeah, everybody. Because he is on the lam. He is running from the cops. He is running from, the justice system that is looking for him. And then even right here, it says, saying, are you not going to stream in Manila? No, because the second he goes back to Manila, he knows somebody is going to catch him. Somebody's going to find him. Somebody's going to report him, right? They probably have a warrant out for him or whatever, whatever equivalency is going on there in Manila. So he would definitely get caught if he slips up in Manila. So instead, he decided to go to a private resort. We're going to show little details, and we're going to then show you how it was found.
Wherever the road takes you, Chevy is ready to drive you forward with pure power unleashed and future-forward technology.
So you see here, I'm not going to play the audio because there's some copyright music in the background, so I don't want to get hit on that. But you can see the buildings in the background. And because you can see those buildings in the background, that was enough information, guys. The buildings in the background and the beach and kind of the layout, that was enough to be able to tell exactly where he was. And from that information, the netizens out there within a day.
Netizens are locked in every time.
1 day of him being there, identified him as staying at Maya's little private resort. Now, by the way, it seems like a fine institution. I'm not going to besmirch their resort. They probably had no idea who he was or whatever, but they were able to figure that out very, very easily, that it was Maya's little private resort down there in San Vicente, Besong, Padre Burgos, Quezon. So he was hanging out there. And how do they know? Well, when you look at the buildings, they're kind of specific, and you can see them in this, see a very similar shot in this video from their own resort Facebook page. So if you go to their Facebook page here and you just play this video, we're going to play this here. You're able to see pretty much the same beach, the tables that he was at. And then when you turn around, boom, there it is. You see that same building over there? It's the exact same building, one for one. W Internet.
The exact same one. W netizens for once, I guess, the rare occasion doing something useful and not just hating.
This is the power of the internet. They see the one building and they're like, oh, that's it. They're able to spot it right from that building. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? So immediately he is doxxed. People report him to authorities. That information gets out there and he runs away immediately the same day, within hours. Once again, I showed you this before. And it's funny, again, you get him on the run in his car. He had gone there with his family, but he packs up his entire family. He cuts the vacation short and he hits the road. And he is running away right here from everybody because he knows he has to get out of there before the cops show up and before they haul him off. One of the fun facts I also think here is it's funny in the chat. They also acknowledge his association with ICE and the CX crew. And, once again, it shows you this broader connection of this henchman to people that are causing problems and being a nuisance all around Asia. So this guy, Christopher P. Dantes, if you are in the Philippines and you see this guy, obviously you should report this guy. He is definitely on the run. He is definitely wanted by Philippine authorities. And that's information that I think people would want to know. Now, I do imagine he's probably going to try to hide out in the countryside or hide out somewhere. But hey, there's people out in the countryside watching this too, spreading this information. And if you guys want to spread this video and share this video out, I'm making it shorter so it's easier to get out. And remember, without what this guy did, without him helping, he wouldn't have harassed Filipinos. He wouldn't have threatened to rob somebody. He wouldn't have pretty much made the whole nation into a disgrace by allowing that behavior as a local, right? As a local, saying, I'm going to enable this guy who came to mock our country, to mock Filipinos and profit off of it on the internet for money. And say, we're going to mock you for and literally treat you as a lower form, right? Like I can just come here and do whatever I want because I'm this Russian American guy, and then I can just do whatever I want and run off, and we're going to profit off of it. That's what he thought he was going to do. He thought he was going to make a lot of money on that. And now Vitaly is paying the price. It's time for Christopher B. Dantes, aka Sly Kane, to pay the price as well. Guys, once again, thank you for joining. Catch you on the next one.
All right, so that's that, and we're gonna move on to this Japan one that he posted on his Twitter, which is why I linked that. His Twitter in the description. So we're gonna react to this.
Problem. Nuisance tourists and streamers who come to the country, treating it like their own personal playground, taking advantage of Japan's hospitality, then leaving, seemingly without facing any consequences, or even worse, profiting while doing so. While not every incident is malicious and comes from a place of ignorance or by making a simple mistake, the effects have been clear to see, with streets in Kyoto becoming private and shrines closing their doors to tourists after its grounds were desecrated. With these stories dominating the headlines, locals are left frustrated at a lack of accountability, and hopeful future travelers are concerned that they will not be able to visit Japan without being judged by the actions of others. The most recent example seeing Japan's beautiful sakura trees being disrespected during the peak blooming season, which made not only the Japanese headlines but also international news. Shibuya Kaho, a Japanese influencer and popular Twitch streamer, spoke out about the incident. In a post that resonated with both Japanese and people all around the world, I sat down with Kaho to ask what sakura mean to her, the importance of respectful travel, and the rise in nuisance travelers.
So thank you for coming down, Kaho.
Thank you.
So recently there's been quite a lot of issues of nuisance or like troublemaking foreigners and also streamers in Japan.
Right.
And you actually commented on a very recent one that involved some sakura trees. Basically, they were using it like gym equipment, shaking down the pedals.
Because it was somebody I actually met. People I met. Somehow, people try to get into drama and focus on one person, but there are at least 3 people doing it. And so that hurt me more because there are at least a few people there, not just one individual. Right. So no one tried to stop it. No one, questioned this might not be a good behavior. So that kind of made a bigger impact just to myself. And I've always seen, of course, a nuisance especially tourists. Of course, there are a lot of nuisance, like local nuisances too, but it's been more evident that a lot of tourists, because somehow Japan has been like a popular destination to a lot of people, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But I guess, that brings a lot of people who are not sure about the cultural differences. So that's probably the reason why it caused such a problem. And
Japan, I would say, yeah, they need to tighten up, or else, yeah. Oh, yeah, Philippines were quick on this one. Philippines shut it down pretty quickly. They probably saw that Johnny Somali in Korea and Japan and everything else, and the other streamers as well, that they decided to shut it down. And he's also in a prison with everybody with no AC either. So it's gonna be a rough one for him.
And I've always wondered, I know a lot of non-Japanese people living here or coming here, and I've always kind of worried, like, what if it happened, or I've seen somebody I know doing it.
Right.
So it actually happened, and that was a big deal to me.
Yeah, I think like not only yourself, but many people realized what was doing was wrong, because not only in Japan, but around the world, I think over 5 million people or more saw that post. And but one of the things that I heard some people saying, and that people might not understand if they're from another country, is they're saying, well, it's just a tree. Like, what's the big deal? Like, is it?
Yeah, I saw many posts getting mad at least Miss Kiff when he apologized. They're like, it's just a tree. I'm like, you don't realize how important that tree is to Japan tradition and just Japan in general. That sakura trees are very important in tradition and just to Japan in general. So it's not just a tree to them. Maybe to you, but not to them.
Is it true that sakura trees are like just a tree?
Okay, sakura trees definitely has more significance than just a tree. But honestly, me personally, if somebody was doing the same thing to just a tree, like just a normal tree, not necessarily a sakura tree, I would definitely frown upon them, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like it's kind of common sense, although common sense is a little bit not so common these days. But you wouldn't go to Holland and roll around in the tulips, for example, or like you go to someone's house and they ask you to take your shoes off. You just do it because you're trying to be polite.
And you wouldn't like climb on a tree unless you.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Go to someone's house, you play by their rules. Go to another country, play by those countries' rules.
Kid. And if you're a kid, understandable. I don't think it's nice to climb up on a tree and like do some tricks like when you're a big enough person, and when you're grown up.
Yeah, right. I couldn't get away with it. I'm like,
you're very tall.
Yeah.
I guess it's not a okay behavior, but sakura trees are, it just carries more significance to locals here in Japan. And initially, I was so shocked to see the video. And I was like, oh my God, I got worried actually. Like, oh, they might get canceled.
Really?
And then I saw the comment. I think I don't know what time I saw the post. I don't know if it was like right after they posted it. I don't know. Because I usually like check my smartphone in bed before going to sleep. So I wasn't really checking the details. But when I saw the post, I got worried and then checked the comment to see if they got any hateful comment. And some comment were, oh, cool. Yeah, so like actually I got disappointed. When I first saw the video, I was like worried first and then got disappointed by the post of people not knowing that it's not okay. And then I kind of pondered.
That was me when I saw people getting mad at people apologizing for climbing the tree. I'm like, you don't understand how significant that tree is.
Like, oh, what should I do? Like finally happened. Like somebody I know or people I know I met doing it. It's like, what should I do? And it kind of took time for me. Like I was not sure in the beginning. Like it was my first time.
Right.
Something like that happened.
Yeah, because I guess some people might think it's just flowers or something, but sakura, they're so short-lived. It's like at a very ephemeral time of the year, and also it signifies both the end and the beginning in a lot of places. So
New Year for your school
or
work. Office, everything that started from this season. Everybody's kind of looking forward to this. This is the beginning of your new life, like a new lifestyle.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're shortening the opportunity for them to experience that very significant part of their life, especially for young Japanese, I think.
Yeah, and it's very delicate tree too.
Yeah, like sakura branches are actually, they're very easy to break. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't break. So I guess that's kind of fortunate. But other people have done this obviously as well.
Right.
It's actually a fairly common occurrence. But I have been seeing more like signage and English things in particular around Kyoto and Osaka and other places. So I think people are learning.
Yeah, and there is also a job called Sakura Mori. The kanji itself is like Sakura and protect. So like a protector of Sakura.
Exactly.
So there is such a job to begin with. Like, I think it's definitely a learning opportunity and not really like attacking opportunity. Well, I think the significance is more about, okay, now we get to learn. Now we get to like influence others that it's not okay.
Yeah.
So that's necessarily the point. I was really sad. Like it became more of a drama at some point.
Right.
You know, got to create a drama, but it was really not. And
do you think that people were like kind of taking your opinion and then like associating with a different argument entirely? Like it's just about like drama or something.
Like, oh, you guys should be friends. Or kind of like that's not really the point. And
no, I think that friends have a responsibility to tell people not to do things because you never listen to a stranger, right? You only really listen to your friends. So I think that calling out your friends can be very healthy.
Definitely. I mean, actually, it became kind of a personal too because like some other people got worried and like they try to talk to them, and then I saw some of the responses that included my name too, and I kind of got personal too. So it's like it's nice to have those like objective opinions, and then like, them making opinions, like posting those. Like really, I think it's helped the post grow in a better way, and then eventually we got like, a public statement, and then raise some awareness. Right. So I was very very grateful of like those, not necessarily a supporting argument or anything. It's just like an argument growing separately from the drama.
Right. A lot of people have been asking me and have been commenting online as well that now they're worried that if they come to Japan, they'll maybe they'll make a mistake, and they feel like they'll be treated like a nuisance foreigner, or like they might be on a YouTube expose or like international incident or TV. Do people need to be afraid about making mistakes in Japan?
Not necessarily in Japan. Like if you're going to foreign country, I guess you want to learn basic skills, like basic just social cues.
Yeah.
Like I try to do that. Like I travel a lot too for work, so I make sure like, what's not allowed. Like, oh, you get fined for doing this. Like even jaywalk, like you won't get fined.
With 19 hotel brands at IHG.
I do think Japan can tell them being a nuisance streamer and just an average, just normal person. So I don't think that there's that too much to worry about.
Here, you see a lot of people jaywalking, but in some countries you get fined. You just have to know the basics.
People always say when in Rome, right? And I think if you just make a small effort to try and fit in, it goes a long way. And a small example might be something like when you see Japanese people get on a busy train, they've got like a backpack they put on their front. Right. It's not because they're worried about getting it stolen. It's because they don't want to bother anyone with banging into their bag. Or like, on the escalator, people always go on one side. Yeah. And if you just kind of, be mindful, look around and follow the example, I think you'll be okay in Japan, honestly.
The sad thing is, some people just they're attacking people for making mistakes. Or, they don't want to make mistakes or either. It's more about raising awareness. The post was more about raising awareness and not about attacking somebody or not necessarily those, the nuisance or what they call it, or like myself, because for some people, they're like, oh, how could you attack somebody that or something like that. Like they try to turn it into a drama, and it's not at the point. My feelings or their feelings do not matter. Like it's more about letting people know that, hey, it's not okay behavior. So you can learn from this.
It's pretty obvious what they were doing was, a little bit naughty, but people do make mistakes. And do you think there's a place for forgiveness when people, like if someone makes a real effort, not only apologizing, but then going forward, their actions change?
That would be nice. It's not like, oh, you have to be forgiven by food, like Japanese people or your Twitter followers. I don't know who you're aiming at. I think it's more about acknowledging, and because those are influencers, they can influence people. Their behaviors can influence. So,
yeah, it's true because like, unfortunately, in the cherry tree situation, there was already some copycats.
Yeah.
And like some people are.
Those are different crowds.
Yeah, yeah.
I can say that
Yeah.
for sure.
And some of them are just doing copycats specifically because they want to become infamous. Like they want to be like the next Johnny Somali or something.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. I've noticed that a lot of these nuisance streamers in particular, and it is important to remember they're a minority. I think the vast majority, 99% of.
Yeah, they are. Unfortunately, they are. Although they are the, I guess, vocal slash present minority, they unfortunately represent a lot of the foreigners now. Is the unfortunate thing.
Travelers are always, oh, not always, but usually good, right? But why do you think there's been so much attention in Asia and Japan specifically?
It's not really happening in other countries, or
It does happen in other countries, but Japan is kind of seen as like, and other like Korea and Philippines, they're seen as easy targets.
I think they think they wouldn't have to they wouldn't have to face consequences.
Yeah.
And most of the time, sadly, that's true.
I say it's because Korea, Japan, Philippines, yada yada, all the Asian countries are a bit more nicer compared to, let's say, they try to do it in South America or the South of America, or Europe or something like that. It would not go too well if you did in South America, or the bottom South of America. Anywhere else, it would not probably go as well as Japan. I mean, Asia doesn't really. They're a bit more kind and don't really expect it, so they wouldn't. So they just was confused when they first experienced, but now they are now more tightened on it.
I guess, I understand it again, like I said before, definitely understand the sentiment toward like, oh, you got to be lenient toward tourists they don't know.
Right.
But even somebody who is pretty sure to go overtly doing it, like some streamers who got actually arrested. But,
I think that needs to happen a couple times until people kind of learn that it's not okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think Japan is very accepting. I've made so many mistakes when I live here, but people like try and tell me, and I try and be better every day.
I made a lot of mistakes in my life too. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everyone makes mistakes, even Japanese people, right?
And some people actually got arrested, streamers like from foreign countries got arrested without knowing. You know? Yeah. Oh, it was not okay. And
I think, like I said, I kind of have a positive attitude about how things are getting better in certain ways. Because did you see there was the incident with a Geiko in Gion that was being harassed by a woman that was trying to get her photo? I was actually in Gion a couple of days ago with throwing some friends around, and we actually were lucky enough to see I think it was 5 Geiko and Maiko, which is kind of rare, right? Like when you're walking around Gion. But nobody was like putting phones in their faces, and nobody was like chasing around or stopping them because, when they're in their like full costume and everything, they're going to work, they're going to their job. So you're like interfering with them during their business hours. When these sort of things are exposed, and when people learn about why it's, they need to maybe take a step back and appreciate the culture more, I definitely think that the word is getting out and it's changing. Like for me, I've noticed that platforms are being faster to ban people that are engaging in nuisance content. The guy that was copycatting the Sarkam incident, banned after one day.
That's good.
Yeah, and of course, there's been 2 really big cases with Somali and South being prosecuted in South Korea, and Vitaly in the Philippines. And I feel like after those cases go through, it'll kind of serve as a deterrent, and people will start, maybe taking things a bit more seriously. Do you think Japan should change its laws to maybe be more strict?
Maybe. I think sometimes I think we find that police demeanor are kind of lenient towards the tourists. And I could understand it. It's like, okay, it's like they don't know. So I can understand the sentiment, but obviously, well, there's another sentiment on the other side. Like, hey, like, why are you treating them differently? And then, that's kind of fair, or like they have to learn. So like you have to let them learn by penalizing them. So I can understand both sides.
Right.
But this point is to let people know that, hey, this is not an okay behavior, and that's the reason why like posts going viral. Like I didn't think the post was going to go viral because I didn't post any of the videos.
From your heart,
and usually just unless like I'm posting a picture of myself showing a little bit cleavage, like not so many likes or retweets yet. So I was seriously not expecting a lot of attention, and I'm kind of pleasantly surprised that it drew a lot of attention because that was the point. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was quite effective. They did apologize. It seems like at least they're trying to make an effort. And like I said, we have to wait and see what happens. But I think that, this was, like I said, this post was very well received, not only by Japanese, but around the world, like 5 million people. That's an incredible amount of people saw this. And I think the majority did agree with you. It's just that there's obviously some people that like maybe they think it's just a tree, or they're like, well, this is just trying to get like drama starting or something. But no, like not everything is drama, not everything is content. Sometimes you just see someone doing something wrong and you know it's bad and you say, hey, don't do that. And that's the only way these things stop, because we were talking a bit earlier about why people are choosing Asia, why people are focusing on Japan for these things. It's because people in Japan don't press them. People in Japan don't say no because they don't want to disturb them, or maybe there's a language barrier. And people take advantage of that. And there's, in my opinion, taking advantage of people that are being nice to you is one of the worst things you can do to people. It's a very cowardly thing to do, to take advantage of someone who won't tell you to stop. So, no, I think people...
Yeah, I agree with that.
Speaking out about it is the correct course of action. And like I said, I think we're seeing actual change. We've got people being prosecuted in Korea, in the Philippines. We got people in Japan changing their behavior. And we have platforms. And I think that's one of the biggest things, actually, is platforms need to say this is not okay. Platforms are taking action, like banning people one day after when they're doing copycat behavior, specifically just to cause drama and just to cause infamy and like try and become like the next like Vitaly or Johnny Somali. Do you have any like words of advice for people that want to travel to Japan responsibly?
Well, definitely check out what other people are doing. Definitely. Sometimes even like myself, being a local, I'm like, I want to take a photo of this. Is that okay? I look for the sign. Like there's no photo sign, or okay, there's no photo sign, or if there's a staff sign nearby, then I'm going to ask them, like, is it okay? Or if other people are not taking photos or videos, then I'm like, might not be okay. Just like, try to read the line, like just to try to read the room atmosphere. Because I think it's kind of like social requirement to read the atmosphere, like, being in Japan, like living in Japan. Like there are a lot of unwritten rules, which, not always helpful.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, you have to kind of do your best, but I don't think people need to worry about like coming over and making a mistake. If you make an earnest mistake, I think people understand that. But the country is like at
I think people usually can tell the difference between an honest mistake and what they were doing.
More signage in all different languages, because Japan's becoming a more and more popular country to visit every year. And it is such a beautiful country. One of the things I think makes Japan a really great country to visit is it's a high trust society. Like I was just walking around the park here earlier, and there was like a little kiosk, and you could buy like souvenirs. And there was no one that working there. It was just an honesty box. So just put in your money and take a thing, and you trust people to do that. And those sort of things are just so wonderful to see. But every time one of these nuisance streamers or just a bad tourist does something, a little bit of that trust is eroded. And trust is one of those things that takes years to build, but seconds to destroy. Yeah. It's so fragile. Almost
the same thing with respect and stuff. Once you lose respect, it takes forever for you to gain it back. Same that applies to trust as well. It can take seconds to destroy any trust you had for anybody. But trust and respect it's not supposed to be easy after all.
It's like Sakura, actually. Yeah. Do you have like a favorite time? Is Sakura like your favorite time to visit Japan or travel Japan, or like in the
I
seasons?
love spring, definitely. Summer is just hell here.
I actually kind of like summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm from Australia though, so.
Oh, well, Hokkaido would be nice. Or some places like Karuizawa, kind of breezy. Tokyo is just, you're surrounded by people all the time. You can actually feel their sweat, and you can also feel your sweat. It can be very disgusting, the humidity and the population. So spring is warm enough. I love it. I definitely want to check out a different type of cherry blossoms.
Oh, yeah?
Because like in this one, the quintessential cherry blossom, but some bloom really early, like the beginning of March or the end of February, or like the next month, like a May. So and they have all different shades of pink too.
Have you ever been to Yoshino?
I haven't.
Yoshino is really good. It's I think it's the best place in Japan to see sakura. It's a mountain. And it has 30,000 sakura trees. And there's all the different tiers on the mountain as well. So it blooms longer. Like, usually it's like 2 weeks. It's because it's like higher elevation. They've also got like hundreds of different sakura trees. So my recommendation is Yoshino. And there's actually a really nice train you can take from Osaka, the Blue Symphony. And there's like a sightseeing train. It only costs like 1,000 yen. It's really good. And it has like a dining car, and it's really, really good. That's my recommendation.
Cool. I'm going to keep note.
So where can people find you?
Oh, yeah, you can find me on Twitter/X. I still have a trouble going to X.
Yeah, me too.
I was really hoping that Elon Musk would change that.
Yeah, I think he's a bit stubborn about that.
I thought like he was kind of kidding, but he was not.
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
I think he's a bit.
X.
Yeah, me too.
I was really hoping that Elon Musk would change that.
Yeah, I think he's a bit stubborn about that.
I thought like he was kind of kidding, but he was not.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful area here. We're at the Kyagi Incline.
Thanks again to Kaho for sitting down with me. Japan is a very special place that people all across the world want to visit, and it's not hard to see why. But it is also the home of its people and not your personal theme park. And when you visit someone's home, you follow their rules. Can you make a mistake when traveling? Absolutely. But provided it's an honest mistake and you try your best to take note and follow the example of those around you, then you really don't need to worry. Japan is a beautiful country, and let's keep it that way by respecting its people and their customs. After all, we are their guests.
So, follow
Hiroshima.
To follow Genaku Adventures, which I will also actually link. Did I put it in here? No, I didn't, but I'm gonna do it right now. All right, so all right, so that's the stream for this week. I will talk to you next week unless some something. Let's actually where's the other? Give me 1 second. Wrong one. That's the wrong one. Okay. There. Okay. Unless something happens regarding this, which is the camp or the CEO is getting, unless something happens with that or another Johnny Somali thing regarding, but it's mostly going to be this or a reaction video. I will see you all next week. Bye.
Welcome to the Blizzard Arena.
And the quest for a champion begins today.
The anticipation has been building, and it is finally time. We are live.
Is it really? Can you get over the roof there? Oh my!
Oh my! What a play! What a grab!
Another jump here on the high ground. Super goes forward, but gets stunned off. The EMP comes in, and ding! He rains down hell from above.
Here comes Pine. Gets one, gets two. Looking for a bit more, gets another one.
Tsuno down again. That heralds disaster generally for the Fusion, and Carpe wasn't far behind.
circle around. I will call this the merry-go-round because it makes me laugh, makes me happy, and Sean Paul switches to the Widowmaker at just the right time. Oh, the gravy!
I'm a best fish in the world.
Oh my word!
I mean, you could have told me that you spoke English, honestly.
The fans never thought they'd see this day. It took 43 matches. Feels like a really emotional moment here.
Sorry.